It was a quiet Thursday evening when I returned home from work. The house was unusually silent. My father had gone on a week-long business trip to Scotland, and that left only me and Olivia, my stepmom. Olivia was 50, graceful, composed, and nothing like the typical image people have of stepmothers. She had a warm personality, and despite the 25-year age gap between us, we shared a comfortable bond. She had been in my life since I was a teenager, after my mother passed away. My father remarried 2 years later, and Olivia stepped in gently, never trying to replace anyone, just being there. That night, as I stepped into the house and locked the door behind me, I saw Olivia sitting on the living room couch with a blanket over her legs. The dim lights made the whole house feel cozier than usual. "Daniel," she said softly, looking up from her book. "You're home." "Yeah," I replied, setting my bag down. "You didn't sleep yet?" She smiled faintly.
"Couldn't. Too quiet.
Too many thoughts." I didn't ask further. Sometimes silence tells more than words. I nodded and headed upstairs to my room. Around midnight, I was lying on my bed, scrolling through my phone with the lights off. I heard a soft knock at my door. "Daniel, are you awake?" Olivia's voice called gently. "Yes, come in." She opened the door slowly, wearing a long satin robe, her eyes tired but calm. "I couldn't sleep. The house feels strange tonight."
"Can I sit here for a while?"
"Of course," I said, sitting up and turning on the small bedside lamp. She walked in, the robe gently brushing her ankles, and sat at the edge of the bed. I know it's odd. A 50-year-old woman afraid of being alone. But tonight, it just feels different. I gave a faint laugh. "It's not odd. It's human." She looked at me and smiled, eyes soft with something I couldn't quite read. "You've grown up so much, Daniel. Sometimes I forget you're not that lanky teenager anymore." I chuckled. "I guess time moves fast." There was a pause. "I miss your father when he's gone," she said, her voice quieter. "Not just his presence, but the sense of having someone near. Someone to talk to when the night feels too long." I nodded, unsure how to respond. Then I said, "You can talk to me, Olivia. I'm here." She looked into my eyes for a long moment. "I know, and that means more than you know." We talked.
About life.
About her regrets. Her dreams that she once had and quietly let go of. She told me stories of her youth, how she met my dad, and how she sometimes felt like time was slipping through her fingers too fast. The night deepened. Hours passed, and the conversation grew slower, more vulnerable. Around 3 a.m., she leaned back against the headboard beside me. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take up your night. I should let you sleep." "You can stay here if you want," I said instinctively. "I mean, if it helps you rest." There was hesitation. A silence between us. Then she slowly nodded. "Just for tonight." She pulled the blanket over herself and lay on the left side of the bed. I stayed on the right, facing the ceiling, heart strangely alert. For a while, there was no sound but our breaths. "Daniel," she whispered into the dark. "Yes, you've become a fine man. The kind I would have wanted to raise if I ever had a son." I turned slightly to face her silhouette. "Thanks. That means a lot." Another pause. "You're kind, gentle, strong, and you make people feel safe. Just like tonight." "Olivia," I said softly, unsure where this was going. She turned her back to me but stayed close. "Don't read too much into this. Just let me be near you tonight. That's all." I didn't say a word. I didn't move. I let the silence speak. The morning sun was already seeping through the curtains when I opened my eyes. She was still asleep, curled beside me, peaceful, younger in her stillness. For a moment, it felt like the past and future melted away, and we were simply two lonely souls who had needed comfort. When she finally stirred and opened her eyes, she blinked, surprised to find herself still in my room. "I'm sorry," she said, sitting up. "You don't have to be." She smiled, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Let's pretend this was just a dream. A gentle, harmless dream." And we did. But in the days that followed, something had changed, Not in words, not in actions, but in the way our eyes met in the quiet corners of the house, in the pauses between conversations, in the gentle acknowledgments of a bond that went deeper than names or roles. We never talked about that night again, but we never forgot it either.